Hello, welcome to Introduction to Engineering Design, and today what we're going to be working on is an introduction to SolidWorks modeling. So in your download for 4.1D, what you'll have is a set of instructions, and we're going to start by learning how to model this particular puzzle piece right here. And you can see that it looks kind of like an L with a tail on it. And this is from my concept sketching that I did as part of the model drawing package in 4.1b that you're probably currently working on. But in the end, you'll produce one of these drawings for each one of your puzzle pieces. This happens to be piece number 3. So let's get started into SolidWorks. The very first thing, I've got the SolidWorks started up already, and this is what the screen will look like as you open up. You'll notice there's not an awful lot going on here. You've basically just got to drop down here with File, View, Tools, Help. And in this little bar, you can pin or unpin that menu. I recommend you keep that little blue highlighted pin all the time. That'll be very helpful. So let's go ahead and get started here. First thing we want to do, and this assumes that you've configured your SolidWorks using the configuration file that we discussed in class. And that also is in an earlier video. But we're going to open a new file. So let's go File, New. This is going to open up a window, and it may open up a simplistic window like this, or if the Advanced tab is clicked, a more complex window. You want the novice one for now. And you can select from here a part, an assembly, which is nothing more than 2 or more parts put together, or a drawing package. Let's choose part. So on part, once we've got that selected, we're going to go ahead and click OK. Now this opens up the main SolidWorks menu, and we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about what we're seeing here. So as we look at this, what we're really seeing over here is we're seeing along the top line here, we're seeing all these different tabs: Features, Sketch, Evaluate, Dim Expert, Add-ins, Simulation, MBD, and Analysis Preparation. So you'll see all of those tabs more than likely. We want to focus first on the Sketch tab. So where my cursor is highlighted. So this is called the Command Manager across the top. And really what it does is it kind of makes sort or a subset of the commands within SolidWorks to make it simpler. This left-hand side, right here, this is the Feature Manager design tree. And that's where we will get a lot of information about how your model is built, and we'll be working consistently in that throughout the course. So that's the Feature Manager design tree. You get a little heads-up toolbar here. Now, a lot of the commands in this heads-up toolbar are replicated in another toolbar up here or on one of my tabs. But this is really neat because it's a real easy way to get to things. Now you'll also notice that as I hover over a particular command like Zoom to Fit, you'll see that I get an instruction on what that does. And I also get a hotkey beside it. So hitting F does the same as clicking on this button, Zoom to Fit. Zoom to Area, Previous View, Section View, some annotation views, View Orientation, Display Style, Hide Show Items, Appearances, Scenes, and View Settings. So a lot of different commands. Over on the right hand side here, this is what we call the Task Panel, and I can do different activities in the Task Panel. We'll come across those here as we move along. Down the very bottom down here, this is the status bar, and you got a couple of really neat things down here. One is it says editing part, and that means we're making a part, so it tells you what status you're in and the status of your sketch. You'll also see some selection tabs down here, but this is really neat, our status bar, and we're going to look at that quite a bit as we get moving along. So that's your first orientation into the menus and the layouts within SolidWorks. So let's take a quick look at our drawing one more time here. So here's our drawing that we're going to draw. And in solid modeling, we always start out with a sketch of some sort. And to sketch, you can think of it almost exactly like sketching on a piece of paper. So when you tell Solidworks to start a sketch, it's going to ask you where. And we can really sketch, if you think about it, in one of two ways. We can sketch on a plane, or we can sketch on a surface. So when we start a new model, SolidWorks always starts with three planes: the front, right, and top planes. So let's start a new sketch right here. And you'll see that my tab, as I come up here to my sketch tab, and my sketch command here, and you'll see I've got sketch and 3D sketch. For now, let's just focus on sketch. So I can click on sketch up here, and let's click on that. And now it opens up and says, and it's essentially asking me, hey, you've told me to pick up a pencil. Where would you like me to draw? So let's start out this very first drawing by choosing a plane to sketch in. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and sketch in the front plane. It doesn't make a lot of difference right now for this exercise, but let's just do the front plane. I'll show you why later on. What I really want you to see here is if I roll with my mouse, or actually if I roll with my mouse over the top of the front plane, you'll notice how it's turning orange. If I roll over where it says right plane, you'll notice that one turns orange. And where it says top plane, that one turns orange. Now, it'll turn orange in different places, but the easiest way to be sure you grab the right plane is to put your cursor on the word front, top, or right. So let's click on the front plane. You'll notice that our view goes so that we're looking 90 degrees down at the sketch, and over here in our tree, you'll see that it says sketch and a minus. And I'll talk about what that means here in a little bit. So let's start out sketching our shape. And I'm going to start out by sketching the front view that I did in my technical sketch. And I'm going to make this L shape, and we'll see its dimensions are about 0.75 at the top of the L, 2.25 overall width, 0.75 height to this bottom of the first L, and then 1.5 to the ultimate height to the whole thing. So let's make that sketch. Now for now it's not real important, but every time we make a sketch in SolidWorks, we want to be sure that we orient it relative to the origin. And for now I'm going to start at the origin. And you'll notice that I get this little glyph. And the glyph is the little yellow mark. What that's telling me is if I click once, release, and then move my cursor, I will start to drag this blue line out. Now notice as I approach the horizon, I get a horizontal yellow glyph. So I'm going to sketch the bottom of my L. So I'm going to go ahead and sketch, drop that. Now I'm going to start sketching up. Now you see how I get these yellow lines that appear at 90 degrees? Kind of neat. I just did something there where I came back and touched a line. I didn't want to do that. But I now want to go straight up, and you'll notice that that glyph shows a vertical line. I can click and release, and I get a new line. So I'm going to continue in here, click, up, straight up, click, straight over until I get the blue drop down line, and that says that I'm over the top of my origin where I started. Click, come down, touch my origin, and I get an orange dot. Click. Now you'll notice that I left a line and I didn't do the line over here, so let me click on the end of the line and put another line to connect those two. Now if I want to zoom in on this model, I can just roll my mouse button and I zoom in and out, and it zooms in and out where my mouse is. So if I put my mouse over here, you see I lose sight of my sketch and go, oh, I lost sight of my sketch. Hit the F button if that ever happens. And what it'll do is zoom back so your sketch fits into the window. So looking at this, I've got all the lines that I want. So to get out of my line tool, which you'll see I'm in a line tool up here, I can either click the check mark on the line tool button. I can click right up here and close my sketch, or I can just hit the escape key, or I can right click and choose select. Any one of those. So for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually go ahead and hit the escape key, and you'll notice that I get out of the line tool. Now looking at my sketch, you'll see I've got several different colors. I've got a black line and blue lines. Black lines are defined. Now looking at this, to define a line, I need to know its start, its end, and its size. So let's start to dimension some lines here. And we're in our sketch tool still. So we know that the overall width from one side to the other is 2.25. So let's put that dimension in. Go from my left side here to the right side, and I drop in 2.25. Now, you notice when I did that, I hit a few buttons. So let's go through that a little slower and start that whole process over. I'm going to delete that. So I come up here and I click on my Smart Dimension tab or button in the Sketch tab. So Smart Dimensions. Once I click on that, as I bring my cursor in, you'll notice that it looks kind of like, and I'm going to zoom in a little, you'll notice that it looks like a measuring tool. And that's precisely what it is. It's a smart dimensioning tool. So I'm going to click on the left-hand side of the line that bounds the line I'm dimensioning. So I'll click here. It turns orange. And then I'm going to come over and click on the right-hand line that bounds the line I'm dimensioning and drop that down. Once I drop it in place, I can type in directly 2.25. Now, I don't need to enter in a unit because I'm in inches, and that's annotated by inch pounds seconds down here at the lower right-hand corner. That's a default that I already set for you. So I made my L 2.25 inches wide. Let me make this tall piece of the L 0.75. So again, I click on the left side of it, the right side, bring the cursor above, click a third time and drop it, 0.75. And let me make the overall height here 1 wooden cube tall, 0.75. Click on the bottom, click on my height point, drag it to the side, click a third time, enter my dimension 0.75. Now, once I do that, I'm almost fully defined on my sketch, but you'll notice this is underdefined right down here. What that means is the sketch is missing a dimension that would fully declare what it looked like. And the dimension that I'm missing is the dimension of the height between this top blue line and the base. So if I look at my technical sketch, you can see that that height would be 1.5 inches. So I'm going to put that in now. I'm still in Smart Dimension. So I'm going to go ahead and click on my top, then the bottom, drop it, type in 1.5. Notice down in the lower right hand corner what will happen down here where it says fully defined. It means that it's fully defined now because I gave that a dimension. You'll notice that the entire sketch is black. So that means it's fully defined. So to get a fully defined sketch, what I need to have is all my lines dimensioned within the sketch. I also need to have my sketch oriented on my drawing someplace relative to the origin. So I'm done smart dimensioning. So again, I can exit out of my smart dimensioning tool by either right-clicking and clicking on select, or I can hit the escape button. or I can exit out of my sketch here. So I'm going to hit escape. Escape is your friend. You'll notice that Smart Dimension was deselected. I now have my sketch. Now let's exit the sketch. I can exit my sketch by hitting the button up here, or by clicking Exit Sketch window here. I'm going to click Exit Sketch right there. So I've exited my sketch. Now you'll notice that that sketch appeared now in my design tree. Now to go from a two-dimension sketch to a three-dimension object, what we need to do is extrude it. And that's a feature. So come up here on the command bar and click on the Feature tab. And now select Extruded Boss Base. It's a pretty smart program, and it may select the face for you already, but I'm going to go ahead and hover over the top of it and click on the face that I want to extrude. I'm going to ignore that little memory error. And this is what pops up, the boss extrude. So we know that my overall width of this object is shown right here. It's 3/4 of an inch thick. And then we'll draw that little nub on the end. So let's extrude this out 3/4 of an inch. So I'm going to go from my sketch plane, blind, 0.75 inches. And you'll notice that as that happens, I can type in just 0.75. As that happens, and I hit enter, you see that it pops out 3/4 of an inch relative. Again, click on my OK check mark, and now my model transforms into that gray shape. Now, if I want to roll my model, what I'm doing is I'm holding my mouse button down and I'm moving my mouse. And when I say mouse button, I mean the mouse wheel down. So now let's wrap this drawing up, or this part up, so you can extrude your first part. So what I've got left to do is draw this little tail on the right hand side. So let's go ahead and enter into our sketch tool again. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Sketch, and I'm going to click on the surface where I'm going to draw, which is the surface of my L shape. A little bit laggy here. There it is. And it shows me sketching. Now you see I entered a new sketch, Sketch 2. And this time all I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw a corner rectangle, and I'm going to start up on this surface, click once, drag my rectangle out down the lower right hand corner down here, and you'll see it makes the orange dot appear. As I zoom in, you'll see as I get down here I get that orange dot. Click a second time. It now placed a square. Once I get that square, I can right click and go select. I can click the check mark over here, or I can just hit escape. I'm going to click the check mark. So now I'm out of my square tool. Let's give this a dimension. We know that the cube is 3/4 of an inch, so I'm going to click on the left hand edge of my new square, the right hand edge of my new square, drop my dimension down, type in 0.75. And it becomes fully defined. Let's exit that sketch. And let's go to my feature button, extrude my block. I'm going to roll my model to the side here a little bit, and I'm going 3/4 of an inch. Accept that. I have now made my first part. If I want to color this part, what I can do is come up here and click on the colored balloon right here. select my colored balloon. And then I will choose the color right here in Appearances. And I can just select my color off of my color wheel. And I'm going to apply this to my entire part here. So what I'm actually going to do is click on the part and then select Appearance. And let me make it green. And select my check mark. So now what I've done is I've just modeled my very first part. I know that was fairly fast. We'll go over this again in class, and this is a refresher in case you either missed class or you need a little extra help. So we just made our very first SOLIDWORKS part. Save this in the file or in the folder that's shown on your instructions, and that's your first part. Congratulations. Thanks for watching.